Ever wonder how to create 2D and 3D cubes? Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at how do you create very simple 2D and 3D cubes that you can use to create almost any building. So starting off, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and position our base horizontal vanishing points. So what you could do is you can use a pencil, or in this case I'm just using a pen, and we're going to start off just taking a ruler. Again, it could be anywhere halfway for the paper, and what's going to happen is I'm going to position it roughly horizontal, and you can just pick any point. So in this case I'm going to pick a point right here, and I'm going to pick a point right here. Okay, so as you can see, there's one over here, one over there. Now, starting off, what's going to happen is we're going to first start off with a very simple cube, all right? And it's going to be two-sided. So in this case, what we can first start off and do is we can put a very faint line. And in this case, we have a very faint line. So that is our horizon. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to just draw a simple two-sided cube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this, and I'm just going to draw a simple line. There we go. This serves as our edge for the cube. What's going to happen now is I'm going to decide how far along the cube do I want to have. I can have the cube go all the way down to here because this is the vanishing point, or I can have it stop somewhere in the middle, and that's ideally what I'm going to try and do. So because these are the two endpoints, I'm going to take that part and I'm going to line it up with the one vanishing point that I have set over here. And I'm not going to go all the way. I'm going to probably go somewhere a bit closer up, and this is what's going to happen is it's starting to take a shape of that corner. Now I'm going to repeat the same process on this side, and now I'm going to decide which way to go. Now in this case, the ruler I'm using, it's a triangular ruler, and I'm going to flip it on the other side just so I can know where it's going to line up when I draw this line vertically. So I'm going to go draw this line again on over here by lining up with the vanishing point again. So now I'm just gonna match this up and draw a straight line like so. This will make it a very simple cube. Now I'm gonna repeat the same process on the other side. Now you have two options. One is continue the same way that we did, or instead of, before you draw the first line up there, you can draw a very faint vertical line like so, and then you could match that up with this. And this is another way of drawing the cube. And you come back and make this a bit more solid, and there we go. This is a very simple 2D cube. Now what we are going to do is we're going to shade it. Now, there is different ways of shading, and in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use pencil. Now, the thing with pencil is that you want to make sure it's whatever you're comfortable with. Again, we're just having fun and just illustrating. So in this case, I just have a 6B, and what I'm going to do is just take and think about where the light is coming from. So if the light is coming from, let's just say from this angle, the cube, this is going to be a darker side, and on this side, what's going to happen is there's going to be a bit of a gradient. So let's go ahead and start to color that in, or shade it in. So in this case, I'm just going to have a solid gray. Again, you don't need to use the 6B. I'm just using the 6B right now. You can use an H or an HB, or initially, if you just, whatever pencil you have on hand, you can just use that as well. So now we have a very simple one-sided cube with the shading on this side. But to add a more effect, we can add the illustration and gradient shading on this side. So I'm going to do that as well. And you don't need to do a lot. You can just do very faintly. And there you go. And now you can kind of smudge it based on however way you want to blend. There's obviously different ways, and in this way we get a very 3D cube that with only two faces. All right, so now we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to take a look at how can you create a three-sided cube that is realistic. So going back, we're going to keep the same illustration, but now what we're going to do is we're going to take this a step further, and we're going to draw a cube that's going to be above it. So it's going to be floating. If this is the horizon line, the cube is going to be floating. So it's going to be somewhere around here. So we're going to slide this down, and we're going to start. And in this case, we have two options. One is we can keep the cube roughly around the center, or we can shift it a bit to the side. And let's do that because that'll allow us to get a better sense of how to create a cube and, you know, just have fun with it. So in this case, I'm going to draw a cube over here. So starting off, I'm going to draw the straight line just like I have done before, like so. So this is going to form the shape of the cube over here. All right, the edge. Now I'm going to follow the same kind of thing. Now instead of it going from here to here, it's going to still do the same thing where it's going to go from the edge, but now it's going to go to this vanishing point and go to that vanishing point. So it's not going to be as even. So starting off, I'm going to do that with this. And I'm going to do that with this side as well. Lining that up and roughly gauging whereabouts is this line. Again, if you want, if you're using a pencil, you have a bit more flexibility. I'm just using a pen just to be a bit more flexible with what I have. So we have this, and now I'm going to draw this side. Again, repeating the same process. Again, it could be however long you want the cube to be. If we want, we can bring the cube all the way up to here. But for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to make it a bit more simple. And in this case, we're going to line this up. Now, if you notice here, I have a bit of space here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to respect it, and we can kind of go back, line this up again, and touch that up. So now we have two sides, but notice we have space for the third side. So what's going to happen is we're going to illustrate the third side and create it using the same technique. So what's going to happen is, in this case, because the edge is over here, the corner, it starts to vanish in this point, this corner starts to vanish in this point. So in a similar way, this corner is going to vanish in this point. So we're going to try and match that up. And you want to do it lightly, because just how this point is vanishing here, this point is vanishing here, this point as well is also going to vanish here. So we're going to line that up and do this, and we're going to come back to this edge and close that up. And there we go. We have a three-sided perspective cube. And this is going to allow us to create something that's much more realistic. And we can stop it there, or we can take it one step further and make it more realistic. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And in this case, if we kind of go back and touch on what we said before, which is we have the light coming here, right? Or we can change it up. Let's just say the light is around here for this cube. What's going to happen is if the light is right in front, then this side is going to be completely open. this slide is going to be, might have a bit of a shadow, and this side's certainly going to have a lot of shadow. So if we're going to do this, we're just going to consistently kind of go around, just lightly. So we have one side covered, and this side is going to be a bit more darker, right? Because this side is the shadow and it's hardly getting any light. So we're going to make it more darker than this side, certainly. There we go. This allows us to make a very, very simple 3D cube that is going to make things look much more realistic. And through this simple technique, you can create almost any 3D architecture buildings, 3D objects, vanishing points, make it look realistic, because this is the base of how this looks like. With a 2-point vanishing point, this allows us to create a very, very simple cubes.